The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, that speech from Clayton Cosgrove showed that he has learnt absolutely nothing from the rejection of him personally in Waimakariri and the rejection of the Labour Party's whinging negativity in Christchurch, when New Zealanders, and not just those in Canterbury, are looking from positive leadership that they're getting from this government. You see, the most important challenge for our country today is how we navigate our way through the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. And I want to, this afternoon, quote what President Obama, Budget Office Advisor, told the IMF last week. He said, if you look across all developed countries, there is only one country that has the right policy combination, and that is New Zealand. What an extraordinary compliment for the effective governance by this John Key, Bill English-led government, where in terms of economic policy we have ourselves in great shape. Let me go through some of the vital signs of the New Zealand economy. Last week we had the inflation figure, 0.8%, the lowest level of inflation in 16 years. What was the inflation rate when we came to government? It was 5.1%. What does that mean? That means ordinary New Zealand families struggling to keep up with the cost of groceries, with the cost of power bills, with the cost of their rates, all of those things that make a difference for ordinary New Zealanders. And on inflation, New Zealand is doing very, very well. Let's take interest rates. Interest rates affects the capacity for businesses to invest and to create jobs, and it impacts on the costs of every single New Zealand family that's aspiring for that Kiwi dream of being able to own their own home. And the interest rates right now, Mr. Speaker, 5.3%. That is the lowest, Mr. Speaker, the lowest interest rates in 40 years. And how does it compare, Mr. Speaker, with the interest rates when we became the government? They were over double. They were at 11%. Now, I know members opposite don't understand how important low interest rates are to businesses and households. We do. It matters. We're delivering. And then let's look at a figure like economic growth. What an extraordinary result, given all that's going on globally, for the economy to have grown by 2.6% in the last 12 months. Look, I look around the world, Britain, Greece, Spain, Italy, extraordinary economic collapse, extreme hardship, millions of people going into unemployment, and here in New Zealand we have our economy growing for 13 straight quarters. And let's just look again back, Mr. Speaker, to 2008. Do you know that in 2008, in those 3 quarters, March, June, October, it's not that we had economic growth, Mr. Speaker, our economy had negative growth and was going backwards. And Mr. Speaker, let's look at one of the big issues about government debt. When we came to government, Treasury said we had a decade of deficits. The debt was going to blow out to 70%, Mr. Speaker, of GDP. And yet, as was noted at the IMF last week, New Zealand is only one of 3 developed countries that's going to have a balanced budget in the year 2015. And I again give credit to Bill English and the team for being able to deliver that sort of results. And Mr. Speaker, I mention another positive figure. Over the last year, New Zealanders' debt servicing costs have dropped by $4 billion, and New Zealand households have saved more in the last year than they have in 20 years. Now, every New Zealander knows in heart that we need to improve our savings. That is an extraordinary positively outcome and is just one of many vital signs that show that this government's on top of its game, that the economic management, the big issue we're getting right, And I just challenge members opposite, stop the negativity, acknowledge what New Zealanders do.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Interest rates